Transgender Day of Remembrance. This day was set aside to memorialize those who were killed due to anti-transgender hatred or prejudice. And it's held in November to honor Lita Hester, whose murder on November 28, 1998 kicked off the Remembering Our Dead web project, which is a precursor to this, and a candlelight vigil. Her murder, like most anti-transgender murders, has yet to be solved. But what's really important to remember, I think, is that although we call this the Transgender Day of Remembrance, not everyone identified on this list identified themselves that way. Rory Antonio Jones never had that chance since he was just 16 months old when he was killed because his father or his mother's boyfriend thought he was acting like a girl and wanted to toughen him up. I believe, and suicide has been mentioned already, that the suicides, the teen suicides of those boys in particular who were perceived to be gay, they didn't kill themselves because of that alone. They killed themselves because of how they were perceived to wear gender. Because if you're a boy and you're perceived to be gay, it's not because you're the quarterback of the football team, is it? It's because you're acting like a girl. We don't know if they would have identified ever as transgender. We don't even know if they were just metrosexuals or they were just Nelly Queens. We don't know. Because they were bullied to death. And as Nancy Jo pointed out, we will name 30 names tonight of those we know who were murdered because of their gender expression. But for each one of those, there are countless thousands more who every day have to deal with the pain of discrimination, with being denied employment, or being stared at funny, or being hassled at the DMV when it's time to make a name change, as a friend of mine recently was. Not hassled. It's just that all these people have power over you. All these strangers in the bureaucracy have this power over you to tell you when and how you can identify yourself. The Transgender Day of Remembrance is important to remember those who were murdered, but it's also important to lift up those who live daily in the shadow of oppression and the tyranny of a society and a world that refuses to let us be who we are. I just want to think we make progress. You know, a friend of mine, Vicki Kowalski in the Bay Area, was elected the first transgender judge. So we celebrate that. We celebrate that. And we see shifts and changes and movement toward hope and justice. But the reality of it is that every day our transgender brothers and sisters, when they're out in the mall shopping for Christmas, have to decide if it's safe enough to use the public restrooms. Or do I just hold it till I get home so I don't risk getting harmed for who I am? Those of us who are comfortable in the body in which we were born never have to worry about that. Every day is an act of survival for our transgender brothers and sisters. Every day. Even well-meaning friends who want to know about your body parts add to the pain, the isolation, the stress of living authentically as who you are. Those of you who are transgender, who are living into your truth, I honor you and I'm humbled by your courage, your strength, your truth. change that needs to happen. And we cannot leave it to our transgender brothers and sisters to be the ones to bear the brunt of that change. It is incumbent upon those of us who don't identify as trans to step up and to step out. It's incumbent upon those of us who don't identify as trans to make sure that we invite 5 friends to next year's service. Because as Gina said, those are the ones who need to know. Tomorrow here at All Souls we'll be having a Transgender Day of Remembrance service as well, and our very own Jessie Terpstra will be giving the message. So come tomorrow at 10:30 for that. And gender isn't something that we need to talk about just once a year anyway. It's something we need to be aware of every day of our lives, to be allies for our trans brothers and sisters, to refuse to let the lies be spoken about what gender even is. What is gender even anyway? Does anyone really know? I mean, I was having coffee with Jessie the other morning, and I said, I engender being a woman very differently than I did when I was 20. I was really butch back then. I engender it differently than I did 10 years ago. I engender it differently than Nancy Jo, or than Wendy, or than Gina. Who gets to decide what it means to be a woman to pass? Like there's some sort of model out there that you have to pass the test. Who gets to decide that? What it means to be a woman or what it means to be a man. Those are the truths we need to be speaking. Share my sacred text because I have to do it every day of remembrance service. Because this is what I'm talking about. My son, who's now 15, he came out to me as straight last year, by the way. We were talking about dating, and I said, are you interested in anyone? And he said, no, not really. And I said, well, do you think you're going to be more interested in girls or more interested in boys? And he said, I don't know. Then he thought about it for a moment. He said, well, actually, I think I'll be more interested in girls, but I'll always be very supportive of the gay and lesbian community. And he's also very supportive of the transgender community as well, because when he was 6, he reminded me to tell the truth. When we were talking about why some people were made girls and some people were made boys, and I just said very flippantly at first, well, I guess God just likes the package, honey, I don't know. And then I said, wait a minute, you know, that's a lie. I know better. I know better. And so I said, actually, honey, you know, most people are girls' spirits in girl bodies and boy spirits in boy bodies, but some people have a girl spirit in a boy body or boy spirit in a girl body, and they change their body to match their spirit because that's their truest self. Those are the kind of conversations we need to be having with our children, with the youth that we know, with the people in our lives who want to insist on these binary categories of boy or girl, when I don't even know what I am half the time. There are still changes that need to be made. Gina's story, her journey, her search for a bridegroom where she can be accepted needs to be told. And we all need to do that together. We remember those who this year courageously gave their lives, who maybe last year sat in a Transgender Day Remembrance service, never dreaming they would be memorialized this year. We name them tonight. We'll show what pictures we have of them as we do, to remember that everyone is needed to make a house a home, that we can't create a home where some people are let in and others are not. But as Wendy's saying, we're all needed to make a home. And as we name their names, we will be, in a sense, singing them home, singing them into our hearts, singing them into our memories, speaking their names into the universe so that their names will always ring throughout eternity. Let us do so at this time.